Get ready because today we have an ex Zumba celebrity turned into a pro bodybuilder. Her name is Renee Pickett, and you may remember her from some Zim volumes. She's a pro bodybuilder, personal trainer, fitness instructor, influencer, super mom, used to be a jammer, a zest, a master trainer in Strong Nation. She has been everything. She has accomplished it all, and she is unstoppable. Get ready. Welcome to the Happy Beyond Fit podcast with Maria Browning, former synchronized swimmer from Colombia turned into a lifestyle entrepreneur. Get ready to meet the real Renee, a very raw and transparent conversation that I really appreciate. Everybody, enjoy this biography of a great woman, Renee Pickett. Officially, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I wanted to play the Rocky Balboa song, dun, 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 because I feel like championship
Oh gosh. I don't know about that.
with your latest accomplishments, woman. It's
Thank you.
amazing. You just turned double pro, and I can't wait to talk about it with you. This is awesome.
Thank
So
you. I'm
thank
gonna
you so
make
much
this.
for making the time to meet me here to have a very relaxed conversation. So what's going on
Love
in
you too.
life? What's the latest in life?
Well, I've got both boys are in college. I train people and teach classes full time, and then I'm training for my next pro show or my first pro show, which will be in September of next year. So it's the biggest show of the year. So it's extremely competitive, but there's a lot of money on the line.
So you actually make money on these competitions?
So in order for you to be able to, win any or, get any sort of money, you have to first win an amateur show and go pro. And so once you become pro, then you are able to compete against other pros, and that's where the money is involved. So now I'm
So
able
this
to
will
do,
be your first competition as a pro?
yes.
Amazing. Okay, so what's the difference in the amount of money? Because I was researching before talking to you, and it said that to win one of those competitions, first place is like 1,500, and then 1,000, and then 500.
So the bigger the show, the more prize money there's going to be. And that's generally because every single person that enters these competitions we have to pay an entry fee.
How much?
And it varies. It varies per show. Also, it depends on how many different categories you enter. So it's a little complicated. So my division is the wellness division. Okay. You've got bikini, you've got wellness, you've got physique. I am wellness, which focuses on lower body development. The upper body still has to be developed and symmetrical, but it is less developed than the lower body. So think Clydesdale horses, kind of like that. It's a fairly new category. I believe they started the wellness category either in 2019 or 2020, somewhere around there. It's really new for women. So it's more of like, really thick. Everything is about legs, hams, glutes, quads, calves, is really like the main thing for
And
this
you only
category.
work out the upper body because you need proportion.
Right. Yeah. You still want that upper body to be developed, but it needs to be less developed than the lower bodies.
And why did you choose this category? Is this the one you've always been competing in?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've always kind of had strong legs. I used to be a soccer player, and then of course the years in fitness. But I don't know. I don't know, something about strong legs, big glutes, I just love. So you
Okay,
have
but
to
it
love
wasn't
legs.
it wasn't because you knew that those are the muscles that are the most, I call them, graceful in your body, that are like the ones
No,
that make it easier for you to develop. Because we all have different parts that are easier and other parts that are harder, right? So it
right.
wasn't because that will give you an advantage.
No, not necessarily. Also, I went through a period of life when I was younger where I was really skinny. And I hated that. I actually got picked on for it, when I was younger. And so
At
for
school?
me, yeah, just growing up in general, like when I was younger, I would get just people would call me stick woman. I was super skinny, just naturally really lanky. I'm fairly tall. So I didn't
But
want to be that way.
did that change when you become a soccer player because your legs became stronger or no?
No, I mean, I've always, like I said, I've always had strong legs, but I got out of, soccer when I was probably around, when I moved to Lexington, North Carolina. They didn't have a women's soccer league or a girls soccer team where I went to school. So I kind of fell out of that and I quit sports. And that's when I got really skinny. And so for me, it was just about just beating that stigma and like not feeling that I didn't want to be skinny anymore. I didn't want to be overweight because I've been that as well, but I really wanted to be strong. So yeah, I just kind of fell in love with it. I already kind of had a little bit of the booty going anyway. So it just kind of went hand in hand.
Going back to my initial question, I'm sorry I
Yes,
detoured you.
that's okay.
What's the difference now in the pay now that you can compete with?
So in every single category, so like bikini, wellness, whatever, you've got you can enter different little almost like a class, right? So little tiny subcategories. So for example, they'll offer teens, which will be if you are between the ages of like 16 to 19. You can, and if you're in that age category, you can pay extra, like an extra 60, $80 and enter that category and compete against only other wellness or bikini 16 to 18-year-olds. That makes sense. Then there's another one where it will be the wellness competitors that are the open. Okay. So the open, it means that you're competing against every single athlete that is, no matter what age they are, 16 all the way up to like 50 something, however old the oldest competitor is. And that is one of the ways that you can win your pro card is if you win the open. Okay. Then there is also masters, which the open masters, which is, I want to say, I could be wrong because I think it varies, anywhere like 35 to 40 and up. So if you win that, you can also go pro there.
And you
Just
said that
different.
everybody has to pay a fee. So if I go in the
Correct.
open, it's going to be cheaper because it's open.
No, so you pay per each category you enter, and you can enter as long as you fit into those, you can enter into every one of those, and it's extra. So if you were to win, like let's say, for example, novice is your first time ever competing. Okay. So you can only enter that category if you've never competed before. And so I could not enter that this time. I entered it in my first show. I got second place in all four categories. Then my second show, I could only enter 3. I could enter the open masters, the open where I'm competing against everyone. And then there's debut and novice. And it's better for you to enter every single category that you're able to, because the more chances you're out there on stage, the judges see you more, they get to see how you present, and you win more chances of like winning that category. So for me, I won novice. And I won first place in that. Then I won open. And then I also won the masters, wellness masters. So I
Is
went
it
pro.
okay
Actually,
to ask how much was the money prize on each one?
so I didn't win anything that show because that's where I went pro. So next show, when I compete in the pro show, if I were to win any of those categories, you win per category, and it varies. It can be 1,500, it can be 3,000, it can vary per each one. And so that's the goal, is to win the open next time. And that's it. It's
So
extremely.
unless you go pro, you're doing this for the love of the art and the company.
You got it. That's it.
Great clarification. So now finally there's an extra motivation.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And how much money do you invest? Like, let's be honest, because you have to pay for your posing coach. I don't know if you
Yeah.
have an extra coach for you or if you coach yourself in training. And
No.
then let's not even talk about the meals. And there's the bikini, and then
Right.
there's even the tanning before competition, hair, makeup, everything. So
It's
what's an
extremely
idea of how much you end up investing?
well, because my husband might watch this, I'm going to have to give you very vague answers. So I will say it is an expensive sport, and that is true. I would say, and it all depends on what you're dealing with and how really invested you are. You've got supplements, you've got food, I do have a coach. Bodybuilding is very different compared to just regular training. It's so precise. It's crazy. There's no way in the world I would ever want to be a bodybuilding coach. The amount of mental, just simply the stuff that a bodybuilder goes through during a prep alone with the emotions and the hormones, like there's no way I could handle it. But everything has to be so precise. A lot of money. I will say, how about we do this? I'll give you about what you would pay for a show. How about that?
Okay.
Okay, so typically for the show, I want to say for my first show, I paid like probably close to $350 to $400 just to enter, and that was entering all four categories. Then I paid about $120 for my shoes. My suit is one of the cheaper suits.
You
I
mean the
paid
bikini?
about, yes, the bikini.
Okay.
It was one of the cheaper options because I wasn't sure. This was supposed to be a one and done thing, and then here we are. But my suit was, let's just say, with taxes and everything, let's say 400. Okay. The tan is about 120, and then you have makeup and hair, which is about, let's say conservatively 200. So that's just for the show. That's
Huh?
not the coach. That's not the supplements. That's not the food and all the other stuff. I have no idea. Well, I'll let you know when I do my taxes this year.
Maybe that's why you don't want to do them and you let Brian, your husband, take care of that. So you don't have to face it yourself.
Right,
I'm
exactly.
Googling. I'm actually Googling average amount of money invested in a competition. It says between $2,000 to $5,000.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right. Yeah.
And how many competitions do you enroll in a year?
So my coach was kind of like, nudging me that he wanted me to maybe do another one earlier in the year, but I kind of really wanted to just do one for a pro show because again, like this is a different level. Some of these people have been pros for years. They've been investing more time into a bulk. And I really wanted to put a lot. I've never done a bulk this long before. I've never done an improvement season this long before. So for me, it's only going to be one show next year. Maybe I'm considering doing another show back to back after my pro show since I'm already going to be. It just depends on how it goes. If I don't win that show, or maybe if I do, I might still do another one with another organization potentially because I'm already going to be in excellent shape for that show. But as a natural athlete, it's a very different ballgame compared to other organizations where you're competing against people that are on PEDs,
What's PEDs?
performance enhancing drugs.
So there's a competition for that category?
Oh, yeah. So a lot of your NPC shows. Now, NPC did just recently
What's
come
NPC?
out. I don't know what that stands for. Sorry. I'm sure you can
Thank
Google
God
it.
for Google. National Physique Committee.
Okay, there you go. Okay, they're just like the regular NPC shows. They do allow for steroids, peptides, testosterone, estrogen, all those different things. But then they did just recently come out with a NPC natural, which is supposed to be a natural show. And I hope I don't offend anyone. But so I compete with OCB, which is the Organization of Competitive Bodies. And that is an all natural league. You have to be natural for at least 7 years and you cannot take anything that's on the WADA banned substance list, which is what Olympic athletes, like we follow that. Every athlete.
Let's face it, even the Olympic athletes are using performance enhancement drugs, but they just know when to stop, how far in advance before the test, and still get away with it.
Right. And you do run that risk, that somebody is going to be like dishonest. But one thing that really made me choose OCB as a natural athlete is the fact that the night before the competition, every single athlete has to take a polygraph test. And then
You did that?
You
did that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So you take a polygraph the night before, and then as long as you pass, when you compete the next day, if you win, you immediately walk out. You're not allowed to go anywhere. You must stay right there with a representative of the competition. And then you immediately go back to a room and you pee in a cup, and then they take your urine sample and then they send it off. So it's a little bit more thorough. And I will say the polygraph is so scary.
I was about to ask you, how did it feel? Because I would think that I would get nervous just knowing that I'm doing a polygraph. And then I would doubt myself in things that I know I'm not lying. But
yes. Oh, yes. So let me tell you, it's so funny. My first show, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, and I felt like you. I was like, oh my God, like, what if I'm just like so nervous that I make them think I'm lying about something? Like, how are they going to know? What am I going to do? And the guy's like, I asked him that question. I was like, I'm like so nervous and I've had a lot of caffeine. And he goes, don't worry about it. we're going to ask you some questions to get a baseline for what is your like we account for nerves. He was like, but trust me, we will know when someone lies. It shoots up. It's not like a little bit of a bump. It's like big. And I was like, okay. But it was so funny because one of the questions that he asked me to establish a baseline was, do you ever, would you steal money if you knew that you could get away with it? And I was like, no. And he was like, would you ever cheat on on a significant other or a spouse if you knew you could get away with it? And I was like, no. And then I was like, did my husband put you up to this?
I was going to say, these questions are like tricky because if somebody asked me, would you cheat on a spouse? I wouldn't know. But have I in the past? Yes, I was young. I made mistakes. So I wouldn't know what the right answer is.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, and he was just like, don't overthink anything. Just answer how you truly feel. And I was like, okay. So before I walked out, I was like, boy, I bet you've got a lot of juicy stories about people. See that girl right there? She would cheat on her husband.
And on her taxes, and she will steal money.
Right.
Quick note, if you're enjoying this episode, please share it with somebody that may enjoy this kind of content. In this way, you help me to continue to grow this beautiful project. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the episode. So they take it very seriously to test you before and after the competition to double check that you are clean.
Absolutely.
And I will assume you guys are like the ones with the biggest pride. It's like, I accomplished this without enhancements, without any extra help.
You know, I have a lot of friends that are bodybuilders and they do take PEDs and they own it. Like they're very like open about it. They're not going to lie about it. And I really respect that. I guess it is what it is. I feel like it's a longer route. And yes, you will never achieve certain things. But for me personally, I know it's the right decision because
let's fast forward 5 years of Renee competing at least once a year and winning, doing better. Let's say you're not going to win on the first pro one, but you're going to get second. So you challenge.
No, we're going to win. We're going to win the first one.
Okay. We're going to win for the next 5 years in a row. You're going to break record. And then after 5 years of competing in this competition and achieving the max amazing form that your body can achieve without any extra help, wouldn't you be like, okay, I'm ready to see to which limit I can take my body? Like, how cool to explore.
So the reason I personally...
Girl, you get tired with things. You finish cycles, and I see you in 5 years, maybe trying something else.
Well, so here's the thing. Like I said, I have a lot of friends that do use them. And I have an amazing coach who is also a nurse practitioner, as well as like a 2 or 3 time world champion in natural bodybuilding. So, a while back, I talked to my coach about, what do you think about testosterone? Like if I were to ever switch it up and go to NPC. And he was like, Renee, I'm going to be really honest with you. Like being on testosterone, you're going to end up being on it long term because people get used to feeling that certain way. And when they come off of it, they feel like they don't feel the same and they've got to have it. He was like, it's going to increase your risk of breast cancer. It does a lot of different stuff to your hormone fluctuations. So, and that's just testosterone. But I know people that have personally started with it I'm just going to get my levels up to a natural level. And then they end up going crazy with it. And it ends up, I know someone personally, it made them psychotic. And
because they do a lot. They don't.
For me, no judgment on anyone else, but I know how much I deal with. It just personally, it's not for me. I've had my hormones out of balance before from a birth control. It took years to get myself back to baseline. It's just not worth it for me. I would rather just be happy, chill, try not to stress my husband out as much as possible.
Yeah, if your hormones are okay right now, there is no need to mess that up. That is something you do not play with. Absolutely. So this year, because I am 47, and I've been going through perimenopause, definitely for the last 3 years, I decided to give it a try to HRT. And so when they did my blood work to see how my hormones were, progesterone and estrogen were fine, but testosterone was at the lowest for women.
Right.
So it explained a lot of symptoms that I've been experiencing for 3 years, that I've been like trying to do it to face it all holistically, right? And
Yeah.
then a new way and another way and another way. But then I was like, no, crap, let's just give it a try. I started in April. So they put the pellet, how do they call it? Bioidentical. And they put
Uh-huh.
that little grain of rice in your butt that is supposed to last you for 4 to 6 minutes. Woman, since the very next day I woke up, I was like, I'm ready, I'm invincible. Like, definitely, it changes you for a whole month. For the first 5 weeks, I felt unnaturally good. Like, I was very aware that I should not be feeling that way. That's not a human feeling. It was like I was Wonder Woman. I was invincible. Of course, it feels amazing, but I was like, yeah. And then the low, my body trying to compensate from
Right.
being a superhero for 5 weeks.
Right.
Girlfriend, it was so scary. For the following 4 weeks, I entered into a very weird state of grogginess, dizziness, and schizophrenic thoughts.
Oh, wow.
Super scary. So anyway, this is the quick recap of trying the pellet. Then
Yeah.
obviously I am never doing the pellet again, but I am doing the lotion because definitely my testosterone is at its lowest. So I
Right.
need extra help with it. So I am doing the daily lotion and it's been working out great. I don't feel unnatural. No to stop when I start feeling that, mainly
Yeah.
because I know that my body's going to compensate itself and then something
Right.
opposite's going to happen. So yeah, if your hormones are well right now, then don't mess with it. But you also mentioned that that you said that you wouldn't want to be a coach for bodybuilders because the mental strength that they need to have because of the fluctuations in the hormones. So how is it that training for bodybuilding can affect your hormones?
Man. So for me personally, like the bulk, like right now where I am, it's so great. It's so great. Like I said, if Tracy, if you ever see this, I love you. But when you're going into a cut, when you're in a cut, it is so crazy how you can feel so emotional. And it's not
Cut means
bodybuilding.
cutting carbs.
Well, you're just cutting body fat down
Okay.
and you're getting closer to going onto the stage. So that part right there for me and for most athletes, when you get down to a really low body fat, it really messes with your hormones. So going onto the stage, that part right there is really, really rough. When you come, like right now, the bulk I'm in, like I'm at a very healthy body fat. I'm up 12 pounds from what I was. Well, probably more than that. I was probably closer to 14 pounds from the stage weight that I'm going in the stage.
What
And
was your
so
body fat on stage? It was back in September.
it was in September. I don't know. Honestly, I didn't have it tested. My body, the way that my body is, I lose weight really quickly. I have a very fast metabolism. I can dial up my steps just a little bit and pull back on my food, and I can lose 4 pounds really fast. So we didn't know that my first show. And I reached stage weight like 6 weeks before the competition, which is bad, bad,
Because
bad.
you will have to maintain that for 6 weeks.
Yes. And that's so hard because my body just started really just letting go of I started eating into my muscle basically. So I started eating up my muscle and that was like a problem. And so the second
Feeding the
show,
purpose.
yeah. Second show, my coach was like, aha, now we know how your body is. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut way closer to the show. And so every single competition you learn so much, but now it's good. Like I'm sleeping so much better. I have more energy. I'm able to relax and like have a few drinks a week. If we want to go out for a date night, I don't have to like, oh my gosh, I get one free meal a day off of my meal plan. And so
Guide us through the real challenges right before a competition. Let's say the last 2 weeks of competition. So you cannot sleep well.
I would say for me, I don't sleep as well. Again, like also you're stressed, you're like really stressed. You know, you're nervous, you're anxious, you're excited, your hormones start to dip. So you start to get a little frazzled. My anxiety gets worse. I have a little bit of anxiety already. So, that stuff. There was one time I'll never forget. I was like, I need to talk to you. Like, I don't know what's going on with me. I feel crazy. And he was like, call me. So we spent like 45 minutes on the phone with me and I was just crying and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I'm going off on everybody. Like I cried the drop of the hat. I feel like I don't know who I am. And he was like, you need to breathe and relax. And so Also, I think one thing was not aware of is how you can create some really unhealthy eating habits with competition. I thought it was really healthy to be on a really strict diet all the time. And my coach, like after this last show, I was like, "Hey, I need a meal plan. Like, let me know what I need to, you have to reverse diet out of a competition so that you don't mess up your stomach.
Okay.
You can't just go from eating chicken and rice and salad, and eggs, and then suddenly you can and go, you're eating everything. That can make
Or
you really, really mess you up. You can get what's called SIBO. I'm sure you know what SIBO is, right? Okay, so it stands for small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. So a lot of competitors will go from a competition and they don't diet out or reverse diet, and then they'll get SIBO. Your stomach will swell up. You'll get miserable. It's awful. And it takes antibiotics and a lot of rest. So when I messaged him, I was like, "Hey, I need a diet. Like, what am I supposed to eat? How do I eat that?" And he was like, "Whoa, this is not healthy. You are real. I know you don't realize it, but the fact that you're sitting here and you're like, what do I eat? What do I eat?" He was like, "Be reasonable. Just eat what you normally eat. But I want you every day to eat stuff off of your meal plan, like once a day. Eat something off your meal plan." And I was like, "Okay." And I had no
but at
clue.
the same time, when you get used to eating so clean, you seriously don't crave anything else. So it's like you have to force yourself to eat something that you really don't want.
Yeah, well, and I'm also by nature, I don't know, it's weird. Like up until bodybuilding, I always was like eat super clean, which is a good thing, right? But like I don't eat a lot of processed foods. I'm not a big drinker. I like I like continuity in my life. Like it's just easy for me. And so now it was just like eating a grilled chicken salad with fresh fruit and feta cheese on it. Like that's off the meal plan. That's something that I would eat, not pounding cheeseburgers and French fries and milkshakes. I do that once or twice a week now.
I
It's
do
great.
see some bodybuilders the day after competition and they are posting on social media eating a pizza. And I'm like, wait, so you couldn't wait? Like you actually crave it?
Okay, so let me just tell you, I made that mistake this past show. My first show, I got second place in all four categories. We went out to eat immediately after with my family. And I was so hungry because the show ran 3 hours late. So I had not eaten much that day. And I was like, my eyes were so big. I was like, I want the spinach and crab dip. I want French fries. I want a bacon cheeseburger. I want mac and cheese. And I could not eat anything except for half of a cheeseburger. And then I think I ate a little bit of spinach and crab dip. That's all I could eat. So the second show, I was like, hell yeah, I am going in. I am going to eat. Like we went and got pizza. Oh, it was a mistake. It was such a mistake. It was such a mistake.
Did you eat it?
I ate it. I got sick. I was so miserable. My stomach hurt so bad. My stomach hurt so bad. I was like, damn it, this was not worth
But
it.
like, how did you get sick? Did it make you bloated or it made you throw up or it gave you diarrhea or all of the above?
It made me super, super bloated, but I kept eating it. I could only eat one piece after the show and I was so full. And so my first thing I ate after my show, this past show, was a bag of gummy bears because I love gummy bears. So I ate that. Yeah, I love
And it
gummy bears.
didn't upset your stomach?
Not really, no. It's just sugar. So it wasn't really that bad. Man, I ate that pizza and on the way home, I was like, man, I'm still hungry. Like I got hungry again because it was like an hour and a half drive. So I would say like an hour in, I ate another piece. And by the time I got home, I was like, oh God, I really regret that.
Yeah, not worth it. To feel that way, oof, not worth it. No
I
longer
know.
celebrating with pizza.
Yeah. Well, my coach and I have talked about it. Pizza is one of for me personally, I really like it, but it inflames my joints. For whatever reason, it really does. If it's the dairy, I don't know what it is.
The
If it's just
gluten.
yeah, who knows? But it does inflame my joints. So for me, it's really never worth the squeeze, but God, it tastes so good.
Pizza is not my thing. But it's not my weakness. Chocolate, sweets are my weakness. So how does it feel to be fully into fitness because you are a personal trainer. You teach HIIT classes, if I am not wrong, because I see you, no, or no longer.
No, no longer hit classes. So I teach a strength, upper body and core strength class, a lower body strength class. And then I do technically teach one functional hit class, which is sort of CrossFit-ish, but it is, we use dumbbells and kettlebells only. So
And
you're
then
not,
you train personal clients in the rest of the day. And then you
correct.
train yourself for your bodybuilding competition, as well as to have the stamina and conditioning you need because you do the Spartan races. So it's like your whole life. You're eating,
Mhm.
breathing, sleeping, thinking fitness, fitness, fitness.
Yeah.
So do you have any extra outlets? Anything else that you do?
Well, I try to hike once a week, but that's also kind of active. Honestly, I love to just on Sundays. Sundays are my day. That's like my day. And my husband is completely does not feel this way, but I love to just lay in my bed and sleep in as long as I can and do nothing. And I love to just veg out and watch TV. I know it sounds crazy, but that's just for me.
No,
It's
you
super.
need it. Your body needs that pampering because you're
I enjoy
using
it.
your body for everything to teach
Yeah.
classes, to train yourself to for all of this. Of course, you need to be in bed. Is there any particular shows that you're into right now? Do you watch
Yeah.
shows or movies?
Shows. I'm a show person. I'm not a big movie fan.
Which one are you into nowadays?
I am in, so it's an old show that I just started rewatching again. I've seen it. Oh my God. So it's called Medium. It's basically this woman who can see dead people and has like visions and dreams about things before they happen.
Where do you see it? Where do you find that show?
Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that.
It's an old show. I've seen it. Like I used to watch it on and off back when it came on. I want to say it was like, I mean, that show's got to be like 15 years old or something, but it's so good. And also, I enjoy shows that are not like, I just want something to just take my mind off of things. I don't like,
I
I don't
was
know. I just,
just gonna say, clearly, you just want to unplug your
yeah,
body and your brain because you don't mind rewatching something that you already know. You just play it in the background. It's just to allow
yeah.
you to just rest and
Yep.
take
And
it.
sometimes I'll do chores, like I'll do laundry, I'll do dishes, and I just put my phone on. I'm not even really watching it, but I'm just like listening to it here and there. So
Do
yeah,
you
so
listen
that's
to podcasts?
not really. No, I know it's really weird. I know a lot of people have said you should try podcasts, but I have not. I have not.
I would think this is something you would love to do because
Yes,
of
maybe.
how I see that you motivate your followers and your clients, and because of your personality. I would totally see you doing podcasting yourself in the future. How many clients do you train every day?
So right now it's a little off right now because of the holidays. So everyone kind of pulls back a little when they start traveling and all this stuff going on. But so currently we have about six right now, currently six. And then I teach 3 classes a week.
And when it is high season, like let's say January is coming around the corner, people want to get in shape. So you will say that maybe that number doubles, or what has been the
Yeah.
most that you have done?
So it just depends. It depends on the frequency of how many times a week I'm training that person. You know, if I've got someone who likes to be with me 3 times a week, multiple people doing that, then it gets a little hairy. Also, I'm doing better about trying to manage my time so that Brian and I, now that the kids are out of well, technically the kids are grown and they have their own things going on and they have their own lives going. I want to make sure that I'm like when he's off work, that I'm off work. I try to do that. Like I'm working on that. So I'm actually pursuing, I'll say that, actually kind of like getting out of the gym a little bit more and shifting my career path outside of the gym for work, just for something that's a little bit more steady and, just to
I think
give
it would
myself
do you good. Yes, because
yeah,
you've been consumed in fitness,
yeah, exactly.
enjoying it, obviously, but it is when we don't pay attention to that, like for how long I've been consumed with this, that then it tends to go on a negative note. So before
Right.
it happens, I think, yes, it's a great decision.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's something, fitness was, and I love it and I love my people. Um, And I will still try to train, some people part-time. Of course, I'll have to adjust, in some capacity, but I love my job because it helped me be able to be there for my kids when they were in school. I was able to work while they were in school. And then as soon as they were out of school, I could pick up my kids. I could, go see them and take them to practices and be at games and stuff like that. So, but now it's like, okay, now I want to be more present with my husband instead of working in the evenings. And I want to work when he works so that he's off, we can accomplish goals around, landscaping, or if we want to go do something together, I don't have to be somewhere all the time when he's chilling at home and has nothing to do.
Okay, so a job like going back to Zumba would not fit that criteria.
No, I'm not a big look back kind of person. I mean, I look back with fondness, but I'm not a big return to something. I'm more of like okay, I conquered that. I learned from that. And now I'll take that part and keep it right here. And then like, that's just kind of the kind of person I am.
Only if you see it as that means looking back. But if you see it as, yeah, I couldn't do it in this time of my life, but now I have the time to do it, so let's do it again. So
That's true. I don't think I have the same passion for those things. I think my mindset has kind of changed to what I feel is really valuable for people. And so for me, like strength training is something I'm really super passionate about. But again, I'm trying to get out of the gym. I mean, at this phase, especially for bodybuilding, I'm spending sometimes 2.5 hours in a workout. So it's already, and like you added in 6 hours after this last competition, I literally switched gyms temporarily for my own workouts because I just needed a different, like, I was like, I cannot stare at this place anymore. I've been in
I
here for
bet.
8 hours a day. So yeah, so I'm considering going into something like a brand rep, sales rep for a company, something that I like. I love to do stuff with like housing, housewares, cabinetry, flooring, things like this, like all that kind of stuff. Really, I like that. So yeah.
What is Brian, your husband, doing nowadays?
So Brian, he's still rocking photography. He's so great at it, so talented. But again, very similar to, training people. The work is very, it flux a lot. And so he works full time for a cabinet company where he designs stuff for them. So that's also another thing is like, we love working together. That's something we really miss. Back when I was a trainer for Zumba, we got to travel all the time together and we loved that. So ideally, we would love to try to find something that kind of coincides. But if not, being in the same industry would be a win-win for us because we just do really well together. So
Looking back into your Zumba years, you said, I finished that cycle, I accomplished it. What is it that you accomplished with Zumba?
well, I hate that it kind of just, if COVID wouldn't have happened, I would probably still be there.
Oh,
But
what happened in COVID?
so the virtual training thing, I did not like that at all. That I hated it. Can I cuss on this podcast? Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I fucking hated virtual training because for me, I really gain a lot of energy from people being right there. And through a computer is not the same for me. Being locked in a room, staring at a computer and trying to tell someone, pull your shoulders back. And like, then they can't understand what I'm saying. I felt very frustrated. And then afterward, things started to return normal. And at that time, my kids, after being at home with them for a year, and here, how we travel. Are you still a trainer for them?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure. So you know how that travel goes with them. I mean, and at the time I was gone every single weekend. I would take one weekend off a month, but every weekend I was out of state and for a very long time. So at that point, after COVID, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be at home with my kids. My kids are in high school. I knew it was going to be over like that. And I wanted to have that more time with them. So that's when I decided I don't want to travel anymore. I want to be at home. I want to wake up in my own bed on Saturday morning. I want to hear my neighbors cut their grass. So that's when I decided, like, I don't want to go back on the road. But
So
now
it was
I don't.
an emotional decision.
Well, it was more like I felt like my kids deserved. All of us got so close during COVID by being able to be together every day in and day out, that I was like, oh, I'm not giving this up. I'm not going back. Like, I'm going to give my kids the rest of their high school years with their mom being present and at home. I don't care what I have to do. And so the gym that I work at, it's literally like 6 minutes from my house. And their high school was like 7 minutes the other direction from my house. So it was just perfect.
If pandemic hadn't happened, you think you wouldn't have had the chance to see this life that you were missing?
Oh,
This other.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pandemic was a blessing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think no matter how bad anything gets, I think that there is always a blessing in that, in anything, or a lesson. But I don't think there's anything, no matter how bad it gets, that there's not something good that comes out of it.
100%. Quick pause. Please don't forget to click on follow on Spotify or subscribe on my YouTube channel. In this way, you get notifications every time I release a new episode and you don't miss any of these fantastic conversations with biographies of greatness. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the show. The last year you worked for Zumba was 2020?
2021. I worked for them up until 2021.
The
and I
whole
quit.
2021?
No, I think I made the announcement officially. I want to say it was either September or October of 2021. Yeah.
But by then you had been only a master trainer for Strong Nation, but not as this. For how
Correct.
long did you do only Strong?
In 2018, I pulled out of Zumba. Yeah.
What happened in 2018 that led you to making this decision of no longer being at this?
So it was at that time, I made that decision because of branding. I wanted to brand myself separately from Zumba because at the time, we were called Strong by Zumba. You remember that? And so it was so hard. It was such an uphill battle having that name in the name.
Why?
Everybody would think Zumba. What is Strong by Zumba? What does that mean? Like a hard Zumba? Like that's what everybody would say to me. Like, what is that? Like a really hard Zumba class? Like, and so it was just such an uphill battle. So I decided, and it worked really well. I decided, like, I changed I don't know if you remember the long blonde extensions and everything. I wanted to brand myself.
Wait, were they extensions?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah, you didn't. Seriously, yeah. Girl, no. This is my natural hair.
You started having hair extensions since I met you? Because I met you when
Mm-mm.
you did your interview for Zumba in 2010, something like that. And your hair seemed the same always. I guess it just became fuller, but it was always long.
No, it was really short. Someone did not help me make the best hair choices. We'll just leave it at that. So my hair got really brittle and it broke off like really badly to like here. And it was bleach blonde. And I went through phases where my hair was all the different colors.
But that was when you went to the cruise, the Zumba cruise.
Correct. Right. So not
And
long after that.
it looked very badass. But then,
Well, thank you.
But then the end result is that it really damaged your hair.
Exactly. So it broke off really badly. And so I started buying like clip-in extensions and I was like, ooh, I really like this because like while my hair heals and grows out, I can pretend like I had long hair. So then a friend of mine reached out to me and was like, hey, you should really consider getting tape-in extensions, which will really be like helpful for your hair to still grow. And here's my buddy. He does it in Greensboro. And so we linked up and then, but I wanted to have a very different, like I wanted to stand out in the brand. I wanted to be unique. I didn't want to look like everyone else. And I wanted to have be one of the fittest, most muscled up master trainers because I wanted people to look at me and be like, geez, like she's serious. Yeah, I wanted him to be like, geez, like she's really serious. Like she looks different than other Zumba people. So that, and then also I wanted to step away so that there wasn't any confusion. If you saw me over there dancing, I didn't want I just wanted to be separate from the brands to be separate. And it worked really well. It was great. But, I don't know. I was never really the like sexy, flowy hair, like girly girl kind of zest. And so for me, like,
what are you talking about? that was you when you were the OG jammer.
I tried to be that, but it wasn't really me. I tried to kind of fit into like what at the time when I was younger, I wanted to try to be what people wanted. And I thought that I would be successful that way, but I was, but I wasn't happy. And so as I've gotten older, I've realized it is better to be my authentic self and be happy, and the right things and the right people will find me and not the other way around. But that's the lesson of time.
Of course, you were so young. You became a jammer in 2011, right?
Yeah.
And how old were you back then?
I'm 40 now. So yeah, yeah.
25.
25. Yeah.
Oh, you were a baby. Of
Yeah. Right. It's
yes.
crazy.
Yes. And I find a lot of similarities in both our trajectories. Even though we are very different and we have very
Yeah.
different paths, there's a lot of things that have always caught my attention that we have similar behaviors or responses or decisions in life. And today, as I was doing research before talking to you, it confirmed that even more. Like we both got into Zumba when we were staying at home moms with babies, and we had never taught fitness classes, and the only goal we ever had was just to save money on the membership at the gym. That's the only
Right.
why we decided to teach. Same thing. And then we realized, and probably it caught you by surprise as it did to me, that we were actually very good at it. And
Mm-hmm.
then very quickly there was an opportunity to become one of the leaders in the Zumba world. And it happened so quickly that I let me know after I finish all these conclusion if I'm wrong. But I think you experienced the same thing that I experienced. These opportunities were given to us and we had not planned, neither prepared for it. Therefore, we wanted to be good, of course,
Right.
not to let them down. And being good means that you see other people that are doing good, but these are performers because we didn't come from a
Right.
performance world. And then so you try to follow those standards. It's not that you're trying to be somebody else, you just don't want to disappoint people. So
Right.
you end up feeling overwhelmed because you are trying to be that, not necessarily. You don't have even time to think, is this what I want? No, it's just like, I don't want to disappoint these people. It's an amazing opportunity. And then
Right.
so we end up trying to be and look and dance and do as these other successful people have been doing it. But then at some
Absolutely.
point we stopped and realized, wait.
Right. This isn't working for me.
I don't want to be considered just that, because somehow we felt it inside that we were something else. And yes, we could master the art of being this way, but also it doesn't feel right because I want to be what feels right to me, right? Not necessarily different.
Right.
So I also see this similarity in your path and my path, that we have always tried to be unique. But I believe
Mhm.
this need for us to be unique is nothing but our own need to prove to ourselves that we're worth it, that we deserve the place where we are, but we
Right.
deserve to shine for who we are, not for what
Mhm.
other people are telling us to do. And then in
Right.
this process, we try what you call rebrand and change the hair and do this and create this and take this other path, and like, because not many people in the Zest world or jammers have done so many changes like you and I,
Right.
like in different things, not only physically changes, but like in career wise, or like adding more things to our lives, to our expertise, to our service to others. And then finally getting to the point that we felt like this feels good.
Mhm.
It feels good to be me, and I don't have to stress about letting other people down or being okay for others. It just feels good to continue to be this. So,
Yes.
did I get it right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the older I get, the more I'm learning to just be okay with who I am and that I have certain quirks about me. Like I'm not the kind of person that wants to work the same job for 20 years. That's not me. I want happiness is so important to me. Peace and contentment and growth is so important to me. That's just who I am. And it's not, I would say, stereotypical of what, we're taught. We're taught to go to college and choose a career path at an early age and stick with that and be successful with that. And if you're unhappy or not, it doesn't matter. You see it through. And now I'm just like, you know, I'm always looking for the next evolution. I'm looking for the next thing that challenges me and that pushes me out. That's how bodybuilding started. I mean, I know God just loves to laugh at me because he loves for me to say, I would never. And if anyone watches this, whatever you say, I will never, just know it's going to happen. Like you're going to end up doing it. It might be a decade down the road, but God has a great sense of humor. But I originally
Watch
started,
out, because you just
watch
said you
out, it's
will
going to
never go back
happen.
to Zumba.
Oh, I love to dance. I really do love to dance, but I don't think I want to, I don't, there's so many things that are tied to that. It's not really necessarily even Zumba. It's more about, I don't want to be a mouthpiece for another company. I want to be myself. I want to be able to say what I want to say without having to have someone go, you can't say that. You can't say that. You represent us. And for me, that's a really big part of who I am. I want to be very true to myself and speak my truth and not have to get a phone call. And that happened a few times when I worked for the company. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm going to say what I want to say. And if you don't like it, like, I'm sorry. But
But just so you
bodybuilding,
know, things have changed and it's no
oh,
longer
yeah.
like that. Perhaps because we no longer have the boss we used to have.
Mm. Well, that might be true. If they ever decide to launch a strength training company or like a strength training version of the brand, they know who to call. Um, and I love the company very dearly. I still occasionally chat back and forth on like Instagram DMs with Beto, and I feel very fondly about many people that I used to work.
So the transition from being a Zumba jammer to being a Zest, was it easy? Because you
It
were
was
a great
brutal.
jammer.
I
Why?
will never forget. Actually, you were so, so sweet to me. My very first Zest meeting, I will never forget and actually we were both first time like Zest. And he was like, Betha was like, all the move that, get up on the front row. All of you, get on the front row. And we were like, oh shit, Tanya Beardsley, you, Beto, Jenny Roberts, Gina. Gosh, I can't even think, but like those big names, like immediately they're there and you're like, oh my God, like, oh God. And so you have to remember, I also was one of the top jammers. So I was the first one that was ever on one of the three that were ever on a Zen volume, which was like a major, like, it's so funny now because now that you're out of the bubble, it's funny because in the bubble, it's like so big. At the time, it was a big honor. And so I'm like, and then I go to being a Zest and then I walk into this meeting and I'm like, oh my God, like I am nothing. I know, I don't. And I remember you were like, you deserve to be here. You have this job. You were chosen. You deserve to be here. Remember that. And I was like, thank you. And so Beto's like, line them all up. So we line up at the front and he's like, you come up on stage. And I'm like, my God, like I'm about to die. And he's like, and I'm, by the way, I'm Zumba Kids, or at the time, Zumba Atomic. That's going way back. Zeth. And he's like, I'm gonna be one Zeth. He's like, teach the warm up. And I'm like, okay. And then they put music on, right? And so Beto he's like, so Francis is over there and he's like, DJ. And so he puts the music on and he's like, and then everybody's being so sweet. Like everyone could tell I am just absolutely mortified. And they're all being so like, I'm like smiling and trying to bring so much energy. And Beto's like doing something crazy. Like, I don't even know. He starts doing like grapevines. I'm like doing step touch. And I'm like, and he's like jumping around. And I'm like, okay. And then he goes, stop. And he like, the music stops and he's like, no. And I'm like, no. And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay. He was like, what do you do when someone does not follow? And I was like, let him
He
do
was
whatever. Let him,
pretending to be your
huh?
student. He was pretending to be your student.
Yes, but I had no clue what he was doing. Like, I had no idea. Like, he's good though. I'm not going to sit here and tell, but like, just like you did this to me in my Zest audition, actually. And I should have remembered that, but no, I was too freaked out about what was going on, like right in front of me. I was just too nervous. And, he was like, when somebody is not doing the right thing, you stop them. They are there to learn from you. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Noted. And he was like, play the music. And he played the music again. And then, so at that point, I got it. And I was like, no, no, no. And then like I tried to correct him, but that was really, really like I got off stage and Richard Gormley, like I went back to my spot next to Richard. He was like, "Oh my God, you poor thing. You did so good." He's like, "I really hope I'm not next."
Yeah, Beto really liked instilling fear in us in those desk meetings. So we were
Woo!
also sweet to you because that's what we did to each other because we knew how horrible it was to be put in that position. We had all been there. It's horrible.
Yeah. But it was really good. Like I look back on it now and it was such fun and it's so funny memories. Like the stories are amazing.
So did you ever miss being a jammer?
Well, yeah, I remember after that meeting, I was like, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I should have stayed where I was. What were you thinking? Oh my God. Also, this is so funny. I love that I get to share this. My husband probably not going to love that I share this because he has pride. But for me, I look back on it with so much fondness. Girl, I was so broke when I became a zest. I was so broke. We were like, I was a stay-at-home mom with two kids. My husband was working, you know, and so our boys were very small. And then they're like, you have to be at the zest meeting and you're responsible for everything. You're responsible for getting here. You're responsible for paying for it. You're responsible for eating that week. And my husband was like, oh, you know what? Don't worry about it. We'll get a hotel when we're down there. So we go down there and we could not find a hotel anywhere that was under $400 a night. And we were like, wow, great. We're going to sleep in our car. This is going to be amazing.
So you did?
No, we ended up going to the only hotel that we could find that we could afford was a motel like 8 or 6. I don't even know what the numbers are, honestly, but dude, the only room that they had left, and it was like that room alone was like $120 a night. And it was like someone had smoked in it. And I was like, my God, I cannot stay in a room. I work for this company that's about health and wellness and like fitness. I cannot go in and smell like an ashtray. So what we did was we took all of our clothes. Well, we wore whatever we were wearing to bed, like in the room, but we left all of our luggage parked right outside the door at the back of our car. The next morning, we we were in our underwear. Well, I was in sports bra and underwear, and I'm getting dressed in the doorway with the door open so that I had my hair done, my makeup done, everything. And I just got basically dressed like half naked at the door so that I wouldn't smell like cigarettes.
The reality of it. Yeah, well,
It's
nobody
crazy.
knows that is going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's a big investment to become a ZES in particular. Not only that, you had to buy the projector and the laptop to be able to
Mhm.
keep the trainings. Yeah, I remember because I was in a very similar situation as you, but as I was a staying-at-home mom and just like teaching Zumba classes. So yeah, the budget was very tight and like thinking, where am I going to make the money to like get this money back, all this money that I'm investing in all of these
Right.
trips? Yeah, not easy times. And at the same time, you have to pretend that everything's okay.
Right. Well, I think that was probably the hard. Well, but that was such a, again, I think that comes with, it's funny. You're just young and you feel like everyone needs to see you as perfect and that you have your shit together and that you don't make mistakes. For me, I remember just showing up and just crying and just being like, this is not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like, I'm supposed to have
Glamorous.
all, you know, I'm just supposed to be like, I was being Zeth. I've arrived. Like I'm supposed to be like elite. And here I am like crying and getting dressed outside my door. But now it's so funny because I laugh at how I made so many things that were so not trivial, so important and stress myself out for no reason.
Yes, because we actually think that people are noticing us, but everybody's
Yeah,
going through their own same stuff. So we're
dude.
all just consuming ourselves and not really noticing anything around us.
No, everybody is the main character
Yeah.
in their own head. And you think that you are the main character in everyone else's head. But I really am thankful that I got to go through all that. I'm very thankful that everything that it taught me is only contributed to who I am today. So I can't be mad about that.
Do you get to train people, personal training online, or you really got like PTSD with the online thing?
So I still have a couple people that take my group training virtual classes. but I don't advertise it because I'm not they're like, I'm letting them stay to the last of the COVID people. And that's it.
You just really never enjoyed it.
No, not really. I know there's a big opportunity there, but yeah, I just got super burnout with it. I ran a really good thing for a while. It was great and I appreciate it. And it really helped my family survive and it was wonderful. But yeah, it's just not where I am.
Yeah, because I saw you running trainings and training people online and doing group things. And yeah, so I thought that you got a very good thing going on and that you will still have it. But it's really the virtual thing that you don't enjoy.
Correct. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of computers. Believe it or not, like I'm not even a big fan of social media anymore. Like I'm sure if you scroll through my social media, you saw a change and that is because, it's only myself to blame because again, at one time in my life, I thought I wanted something specific and I got that thing. And when I got that thing, I realized this is not what I wanted at all. There's a lot of stuff that comes with this that I don't like.
And what was that thing?
So, my goal, I'll never forget going up to Alberto Perlman when we wrote Strong by Zumba at the time, Strong Nation now. I walked up to Alberto Perlman and I said, I will be the Jillian Michaels of Strong by Zumba. And he was like, okay, girl. And I'm like, I'm not kidding. And he was like, okay, I believe you. And so I went out of my way I wanted to just make them happy. Darren was our boss back then. I love Darren. Like we really were just like, we hit it off really well. Like, I love Darren's energy and everything. I know there's some really polarizing opinions about Darren, but just personally, I just adored him. And so even though we bumped heads a couple times, he would be like, Pickett, what are you doing? What are you posting? But I thought that I really wanted to be like have millions of followers and da 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 da, and I want to be the face of the brand. But I just know because the minute that you are in a position like that, at least in my opinion, this is just my point of view from my experience. I People like expected perfection and they expected you to be whatever they wanted you to be. And you cannot be everything to everyone. It's not possible. One person is going to think that this is how you should be, and the other person is going to think this is how you should be. So you're going to eventually let someone down. And I am not capable of being the kind of person that can some people are really like, I would say Eileen is really capable of just being professional, like boom, and that's it. You don't get to see anything super personal. Like she's really good at that. I am not that person. Trying to be that person stressed me out really badly and also put a lot of stress on my family. And I was just like, this is just not what I wanted. I want to be able to say what I want to say. I want to be able to be a real person. I want to be able to, if I'm having a bad day and I don't want to be like, hey, it's so good to see you. I want to be able to do that and not be someone be like, Renee Pickett's such a bitch. Did you see her? She didn't want to take a picture with me, And I remember my kids were on the cruise with us, the Zumba cruise. And this was like the height of my strong career. I was teaching a bunch of classes and Carter was really hungry. And he was like, Mom, I'm so hungry. Please take me. And I was like, absolutely, let's go. Well, I kept getting stopped to get pictures. And I was like, he was like, Mom, please, 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 Mom. And I think he was like 7, maybe 7, 8. And he was like, ugh. And this lady was like, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I've got to take my son to go get something to eat. And she looks at my son and she goes, you'll be okay for just a minute. Let Mom take this picture. And my gosh, like that pissed me off so bad. And my son, I will never forget it. Like Carter just like, and stepped back, like to let her have a picture. And I said, excuse me. No, ma'am. That's not okay. Don't speak to my son that way. I've been stopped 5 times. You need to understand he's hungry. And I grabbed Carter and I said, if you want a picture, we're both going to be in it. But that went all over me. And at that moment, and like, I remember hearing in our meetings, they were like, when you walk out those doors, you are on, like when you walk out those doors, you're on. Like, I don't care what's going on in your life. You be there for them. You take that picture, you smile, you be, and that's great. Like, I understand, but then people are real people. Like we have real shit going on. Like you don't know what someone just walked out of their bedroom or their hotel room and they're dealing with on the backside. And I'm just not a robot. I was not capable of being that person.
And I agree. And I have talked about this in other episodes with other Zumba presenters that, yeah, people just don't know what you're going through. Like for them to
Right.
create a judgment immediately and say, oh, she was a bitch, or
So we
she was a
create that.
nice. But at the same time, on our side, don't you think that it's a part of our own overwhelming feelings? Because as you said, you were at the pinnacle of your career. Because
Yeah.
I remember when I was in what I consider the pinnacle of my Zumba career, how overwhelming it was to the point that everything was a blur and that I just felt like I needed to do everything perfect. Not
Mhm.
necessarily that somebody told me that, but
Right.
I
It's
think it was
self-imposed.
my own, yes, it was my own imposter syndrome. So
Right.
I needed to try to keep up and look perfect and agree to everything, and
Right.
you're about to go crazy. So, for example, I totally see myself in that situation with you and your son, especially because I travel the world carrying my son with me to all of the trainings. My son is similar age as your son's, but also I see myself how I react to things now versus back then. And
Right.
right now, I'm like, oh baby, I'm so sorry, but it's like we haven't had any food in 5 hours. Okay, just I promise you, I'm gonna give you even videos, but give me a moment over here. Like the way we handle things now is
Right.
different because
Yeah.
we don't have that stress of this is the top of my career and I may lose it all in any second. If I blink incorrectly, I'm gonna lose it all.
Right.
Right?
Right. Yeah, totally. But it was also it was self-imposed because I was trying to be all things to all people, and that is not possible. And now I know that. And so that was when I made a really big shift and I decided, you know what? No, I have nowhere to fall if I don't allow people to put me up on a pedestal. If I give you the real Renee from the start and you know I'm not special, dude, I'll put my pants on just like every person in this world, 1 foot at a time, every day. I am normal. I have problems. I have stress. I have anxiety. And I just started sharing that with people. And it was weird because at first I thought I felt really vulnerable and like super embarrassed. Like, you know this about me because you said it before many years ago that I have this need for people to always see me as strong. And I did. And I really did. And then when I started I was like, fuck this. Like, this is not me. Like, I am a normal person. I have seizures. I have, shit going on in my life. And I started sharing that and people would just come up and be like, thank you for sharing that. Like, you're so like just real. And I love that. And that's when I started really being like, okay, this is good. This is really where I need to go this way. This is what makes me happy that people know that I'm a real person with real problems that they could relate to. And I think that's where my success really started coming in because it doesn't matter if you've got the head person of a company that is in love with you, but if the people don't love you, you're not going to last. It's really ultimately what the people love is what really is going to drive your success. I don't know.
Well, also, if the head of the company no longer loves you,
Yeah, I
nobody's
mean, you'll
gonna
lose
love you
opportunities.
either.
That's true. But
On
I've
that
always
note,
believed, but the people do always ultimately, the masses hold the power. You know what I mean? And so I don't know, I guess it depends on which way you look at it. But I don't know, that's for me. And that's kind of where I am now. It's just like, I love being a real person. Like, I want to post when I want to post, when I want to post it. All my stuff on social media is more geared towards bodybuilding, or I share something for my family, but there's no brand. Like, I'm not trying to fit a brand. I'm not trying to like follow a same thing. I'm like, if you stay around, great. If you don't, that's great too. Like, but this is what makes me happy at this point in life. And my goal is to ultimately one day delete all my social media and just live my life. Like, I want people to be like, where's Renee? I don't know. Where is she? It's weird. Like, I look forward to that day.
so your social media is no longer for business, is no longer a source of bringing you new clients, bringing you extra income.
Sometimes people find me, like, you'll notice I don't post a lot of my people. I want that to be their journey. Like, that is their journey. That is they're working on themselves for themselves, not to bring me more business, not to make me super.
I totally understand what you mean about the social media, but the reason why I ask you if you no longer get your clients and a big source of income through the social media, that creates a shift and a freedom for us to unplug from social media because I
Right.
was going through the same since I was also into me being my own brand. And when I
Right.
created Fit Kizomba, and that's actually what made my social media grow. When I was just this Maria Zumba, it was very little. And then with Kizomba, it went very big and very successful. And I created my program and I was selling the training and the classes and the courses and the this and that and that and that. So it was like, man,
Right.
it's a serious job. But
Yeah.
once I decided that I no longer wanted to be that Maria, so another one that I experienced, okay, I wanted this. Okay, I got it. Okay, no. Now let's shift to something else. So then that allows for freedom to
Right.
just post whatever we want on social media. And if you want to leave, thank you for staying with me for years. And maybe I'll see you in the future, maybe not. Thank you so much.
Right.
No hard feelings whatsoever. We just are more relaxed. But those that we see that are very active on social media, I would assume that is definitely because they're getting business out of it.
Right. So I do like, I'll get some clients, here and there. I do occasionally work with different brands. They'll reach out and say, hey, Renee, we really love your stuff. We would love to work with you. And, my answer is always the same. Well, let's test it out and see how it works. I'm just being really like, I'm always very upfront about, let's see it. Let's see if we're a good fit. Like, let's see if we're a good fit.
Are you currently being paid by any brands?
I get kickbacks on certain things people order from certain things, but I don't receive monthly payments from anyone. I'm kind of like getting away from that because so it brings a different kind, it brings a stress to it, like a pressure to turn out content. And then also a pressure. Did I get enough likes? Did this get enough engagement? Oh my gosh. Like, what was it? What do they want? Oh my God. And that is just, in my personal opinion, is not healthy for my spirit. Not so much like for my business. So it's great for my business, but for my spirit, it was not healthy. And I'm a very introspective person, much like yourself. Like I'm not just look at everybody else. I'm always like, I don't know that I like the way that we're acting. I don't know I don't know that I like the way that that made me react, or that I feel a very unhealthy pressure to look at, at it this way or whatever, to look to others for my sense of happiness or acceptance. And so for me, I didn't like that. And so I'm not really a big fan of social media.
Oh,
I know
it's
it does really
definitely
good.
addictive. It's been proven
Yeah.
that it
Yeah.
releases so much dopamine that we just do it in autopilot, trying to achieve that boost of dopamine to feel that high, that excitement. And if this video couldn't get the reach we wanted, then it's time to do another video and like get into production mode. Like it's
Yeah.
the outfit and then there's the plates and then there's the camera and there's so much that comes with it. It's not just like checking to see how many likes you receive.
Right, right. So I'm kind of just working through stuff like a little bit at a time, and trying to figure it all out, like figure out the balance of sharing my life that kind of encourages me, and also it does positively encourage others. There's nothing wrong with, I think it's great to positively encourage others, but that shouldn't be my only form of motivation, other people. There has to be a balance, because a lot of times those like people that are geared towards constantly motivating others, you can get so depleted and so kind of down because you feel like there's nobody really doing that for you. And then you can kind of be like, why does nobody want to, like, no one cares to motivate me? Like, what the heck? But it's your own fault because you're just so busy trying to be that constant strength to other people instead of just being present. And so I'm working on being present in my own life and what I'm doing with my clients, not posting every workout they're doing and like, oh, I'm
Well,
the best trainer.
if you think about it, the most successful things to post on social media is the body, fitness,
Mhm.
and food, cooking. So you are in the area of the fitness goal. Oh, I want to
Mhm.
train my body like that. I want to look like that. I want her to be my trainer. And then I will assume very easily you get like, okay, and what else? Where else do I go? Because it's like you are the one providing all of that need for everybody that goes on social media just to scroll for amazing bodies, because
Mhm.
those are the mesmerizing ones. So, like, yeah, what would go through your mind? Like, how else can I mesmerize people with my body?
Right. And so
Is
that's
there
why I
another
don't,
pose I can do?
well, and that's why I don't really like, if you look at my Instagram, you'll see that I'm just sharing my journey. I'm not really trying to be every now and again, I'll stick a post out there every now and again. Like once every 6 months, if not a year, you'll see me stick a thing out and be like, hey, you know what? If you're looking to make a change, it's possible. You can do it with the right training, with the right food. I'm here to help you with the right guidance. If you're looking for something, reach out. But I don't do that very often. I'm also really I've had some weird experiences with people, with men, like stalking and stuff like that. And so I'm also really, I don't want to just work with anyone. I don't, they know at my gym, I don't put a stack of cards out with my phone number on it at the gym because, you know, that's the world we live in now. And I'm older and I'm wiser and I'm cautious and I'm protective of my life and my family. And so I don't work with people unless word of mouth or I've met you and I've got a really good read on you.
Are most your clients women?
Yeah, currently they are. I have one male client. Oh no, two. I have two male clients currently. I
You-
did have four.
Do you have a common age range that your clients are usually on?
No, it's all over the place. I mean, my youngest client is 15 and is trying to get stronger for baseball. He's a pitcher. And my oldest client is 65. I think he's like 65. But yeah, it ranges all over the place.
And everybody comes with a different motivation to work out. Some
Oh,
because baseball, sport, or some others because they have some health issues and they want to improve it, or mainly because they just want to look better.
everyone's different. I don't think I have any two people that are really the same. Some people, I have one client who's just there for, she's a nurse. She's really bad about neglecting herself and putting herself on the back burner in many areas of her life. So for her, it's really beneficial to show up and put herself first and to, it's a form of self-love. And I try to talk to people, while they work out, that people just open up and, they just talk and share things. And so for me, I try my best to give them to kind of just speak hey, is that really the best choice? Are you really loving yourself? Because it kind of seems like you're not. It kind of seems like, you're just putting yourself last in every area of your life. And if you do that, you're going to end up having the repercussions from that. So it just depends.
Are you mentally drained when you go home after having to listen to everybody's problems?
When it's a full day, some days, yeah. And that's one of the reasons I think my husband doesn't understand. When I come home, that's what I don't want. I just I want to numb out. I want to just be on autopilot. I want to dress like I'm homeless. I don't want to wear any makeup. I don't want to look pretty. I don't want to have to, I just want to just exist and be happy and cozy and comfy and at peace. And that's how I kind of recharge.
I've also noticed, this has been very beautiful to watch, that Brian has also gone through his own transformation physically and character wise, which I will assume is also a mental transformation throughout the years. Because since I met you guys, you were in your early 20s, and to see you guys going through these different changes, and he's also going through that parallel with you.
Well, we've been together for 24 years, and that's crazy. We started dating when I was 16 and we got married when I was 18. And so we've been together forever. So it's hard because as you grow older, you change. You evolve, you change. And staying in love with someone who's not the same person you met, but he's not the same person either. So it is a balance. It's a challenge, but
constantly embracing each other's new identities, right?
oh yeah,
Without judgment, without expecting them to do anything different, but just supporting them.
Mm-hmm.
Being the cheerleader team for one another. Yeah, I think is the only way.
Absolutely. I mean, and also you have to, and it's scary because when someone starts to change, you're am I gonna can I trust this version of this person? Are they still that same person that was there for me, then? And so I would say, believe it or not, I would say Brian is better at that than I am. And that's just because of some different things that happened to me, growing up and every male stable figure in my life before him, every father figure I had bailed on me. So I had a very hard time, trusting that he was going to, like, are you really going to be there for me through everything? Like, and so it's really cool. Like, I am so thankful for him. My family is truly my riches. And I mean, like, I know money's important. My husband reminds me of this. He's like, you can't let people pay you in groceries, okay? Like, you can't do that. Like, Renee, I love you, like, but you can't let people pay you in groceries. He's like, but for me, like, because I feel like I have so much more than most people will ever like, ever find. And so I don't know, my family is like my riches. I feel like I really can't complain, and there's really nothing else to seek out.
But like, have you noticed? I'm sure you have, but maybe not because you're the wife. I believe Brian is at his hottest point in life right now. Would you agree?
I think the hottest that he has been for me, Brian is a fine wine, and he just gets so much better with
Oh,
age.
not only Brian, most men.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is the kind of unfair thing because in 40s and 50s, when women tend to start looking like they're aging faster, men start looking hotter. Now the gray hair looks so hot and the gray beard, and like they just look so freaking like attractive. So it's different. So I
I don't
think
know what
in
you're
my
talking about, Maria. I'm going backwards. I don't know what you're talking about.
listen, I'm not
I'm just
talking
kidding.
about you. Now we're talking about your hot husband, okay? So
But
focus,
you know what's funny?
focus. Not
He
everything's
doesn't
about
feel
you.
he doesn't feel that way. I feel that way. Like, I love his white beard. I love it. And he's just like, I don't think
Arms. Like every time I
I
hug him at Zumba
know.
convention, I'm like, ooh, baby.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. He looks so good. And I told him, I was like, he's just such a man. I think that's, for me, that's what's so attractive is that he's just so fucking manly and like so masculine. I just find that so hot.
Yeah. But my question is, has he noticed some shift? Like now he gets more attention from women?
No,
Or
no.
he's
I
oblivious
always,
to it? Or is that
no,
happening?
I always ask him, like, I always say, like, do you get hit on? And he's like, no, girl, not really. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't believe it. He's like, every now and again, someone will say something about my beard. And I was like, well, maybe it's because your wife has such big muscles. They're afraid I'll beat him up. I'm like, maybe that's it.
Maybe he just doesn't notice. Maybe
It
he's
could be
just not
that.
paying attention to women, so he's oblivious to all of this.
That's my guess. I think
Because
most men
here's
are
the
oblivious.
difference. Of course, you're both looking at your best on the outside, but it's different for you because when a woman is in very great shape, you just turn into being intimidating. So you actually
That's
get
so true.
less men hitting on you.
That's right.
Like when I was ripped, nobody would talk to me. Like you are just so scary. And then as I started, and you feel bad because, oh, I've gained a little bit of weight and I no longer have the six pack, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like so much attention because now you're more normal. Like you're less intimidating.
You're more approachable for sure. Yeah, approachable.
Correct. Yeah. So you are like the normal standard of beauty, but not that tone. So it's different for you. You are super fit, but I wouldn't think men are gonna go and like try to hit on you. I mean, on social media, yes, because there's perverts on social media, but in real life, he will be the one getting more attention. So, or maybe getting more flirting women towards him than you getting it from men. So I was just curious to see if you had noticed that. Maybe when you guys are out, you notice women checking him out, or no.
Not really, but then again, I'm also not a very, like, when I'm out, I am so not an out person. Like, I don't like to be out, honestly. Like, I am a homebody to the highest power. We'll go out occasionally to a bar that we both love. But no, I don't pay attention to anyone else when I'm out. I'm honestly just like, I hope nobody notices us. I don't want to talk to anybody. So I don't know. I don't really think about it. Oddly enough, I feel like for some reason, at this phase of my life, I'm getting hit on by guys that are old enough to be my children, which I find hilarious. I love popping their bubble and being like,
Because
he
they're
could be my son.
ballsy. Yeah, they're ballsy, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna hit on her." But it's because they actually know they have no chance. So they're just doing it as a joke. And maybe it happens.
I have no idea behind it, but I find it awesome. I love being able to be like, honey, I could be your mom. Like literally, like I have a son your age. Like it's not gonna, no, no, I'm old and unavailable. Spread the word.
That's very cute. Keep trying.
Right. Good luck. And then
Yes.
I'll usually go home and share the story with Brian, and Brian will just laugh and he'll just be like, oh my God, these kids. I'm like, I know. What the hell?
So to start wrapping up, because you've been very generous with your time, thank you so much. Tell me the best 3 decisions you made in 2024.
The best decisions in 2024 that I've made. I would say number one would be to compete. That was a really big decision. And by the way, you have a little hand, like, I know this is going to sound weird, but you have a little hand in my decision to compete, going way back to Happy Beyond Fit, because I remember we would talk about, like, I always felt the need to be strong, which I mentioned earlier. And I had a really big issue with tapping into my femininity. Like, it felt like weakness to me. And so for me, like, I wanted to tap into that. And I mean, nothing was more mortifying and more girly than standing on a stage in heels and a bikini at the same time and posing. And so for me, I really wanted to connect with myself, my femininity, and lean into that. And I did. And it was amazing. And it's been really great for me. Allowing myself to feel attractive and allowing myself. And that goes back to some religious things that were programmed in me. Like, as a woman, I'm not supposed to be attractive to other people, only to my husband. And so it was really healing for me to go through, believe it or not, bodybuilding really helped that. The second
How,
thing,
wait. Don't move on so quickly. How did you help yourself not to feel anymore that you being on a stage on a bikini was not right?
so I basically took a little piece from my Zumba days of something that I would do whenever I was in front of the camera, which is basically give myself an alter ego. And in that moment, I am that person. And again, reiterating to myself, every other person next to me on stage is wearing the exact same thing. So if we're going to be here, we're going to be the fucking best at it, period. Like, that's my job right now in this moment, is to be the best out of everybody else. Me being insecure, me being afraid, and all that is not going to do me. I'm just going to waste a whole bunch of money and a whole lot of other people that are rooting for me. I'm here to give my best. Like, that's what I'm here for. And that really ultimately pushed me. And like, and once you rip the Band-Aid off, it's over. Like, it's done.
It is
You're
very
good.
interesting because you have always come across as this super confident person. And
Oh gosh.
let's say, especially since you became a Strong Nation a master trainer, that you
Mhm.
decided to rebrand yourself, look tougher. So, like, nobody will ever guess that you had to channel somebody else while being on the stage.
Yeah.
Because to me, I see you on the stage and I'm like, oh, that's a piece of cake for her. She's been on stages for years.
Oh God, no. My first time, and the worst, I think my biggest fear of the whole thing was the back pose. Like, going into your back pose when you like turn your butt to everybody and you bend over. Oh my God. I'll never forget the first time I did that. My legs were shaking so bad. I thought I was gonna fall over. They were like,
Girl, like, to be honest, that's such an uncomfortable position. Like, that's like you will only get on that position like intimately or with a doctor that's like doing some kind of test. That's really
right.
embarrassing.
And not only that, but you're on like a 10-foot stage and everybody's like looking right up your ass. I mean, it is very vulnerable. Like, it is
Open.
very
Yes.
vulnerable.
Yes.
Yep. But so that was definitely a big growing experience for me. But once you rip the Band-Aid off, you're good.
So after the first time, it gets better.
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's why I was saying way earlier at the start of the thing, like, that's why it's good to enter as many categories as you can, because the more you go out, the more relaxed you get. By the third time of me going out on my first show, I was like, oh, hell yeah, let's fucking go. Like, I got this. Like, this
Let's
is good.
spread this butt cheek.
Spread them, bend over, chest up. But yeah, so I would say that was definitely first choice. Second choice of 2024. I want to be I want to be very careful how much I share, because it's about my son and it's not really mine. I feel like I try to be respectful of my kids. Like, they're grown now and I don't ever want to overshare their story or like what they want to say. But I would say as a mom, my youngest son, Carter, moved away to college that was 3 hours away. And he's the baby. Like that's like, he is the baby in every sense of the word. Like every stereotype that comes along with that, that's my baby. And mm, so it was very shocking when he decided he wanted to go to a school that was 3 hours away from home and live on campus. And I was like, okay, that's something my oldest son would do. Like that kid came out ready to live alone. Like, but this one, I'm like, oh my God. But at the same time, you just want them to be happy. Like you have to let them fly. And I know all the things. So I just kind of was like, okay, you got to support him. He believes in himself. That's what we've been working towards. That's what we want. And then as he went away to college, he got alopecia areata.
Very
Uh-huh.
stressful times for him.
And so his hair started falling out. And at first it was just like one large patch and we thought that was it. And then he had some stressful situations happen with relationships at the start of, college. Plus he didn't realize how close we were, like our family. Like he didn't realize how much he needed this family until he got there. And then when you don't have people that are just like your people, like they've got your back indefinitely, your source of strength, it was very like shit kind of moment. And then couple that with the alopecia and the relationship stuff. He decided he did not want to be there anymore. And that was really hard and I'm sure you are, because I know you're a little older than me, but we're from that same generation where you don't quit things. Like you see things through. You don't ever quit anything. I don't care how much you hate it. Like you don't quit. And so he was just like, I'm really, really unhappy. Like I'm really unhappy here. And part of me wanted to be like, you've got to see this through. Like, you've got to just keep pushing. But then the other part of me was like, his mental health is not good. His physical health is not good. And fuck everything that I was, told growing up. Like, this is really real shit that my son's going through. And I'm not going to let him go through this alone. So I just had to abandon all that, like the way that I was that programming. And I was like, hey, you can go to nursing school here. There's a nursing school 30 minutes away from home. We'll get you transferred over. Think about it. If this is really what you want to do, we support you. You can come right back home. And so that was the second thing, like just letting my kids navigate their own lives and not pressing my belief systems that I was taught growing up, letting them just figure their life out. And he's home and he's happy. So
I
yeah.
get you 100%. I've been going through the same thing with Nick this year. And that's
Yeah.
one of my biggest decisions this year. The releasing him into the world to let him be his own adult, his own person. And it's
Yeah.
so freaking hard.
Like I would say, I don't think it comes from a bad place. I think that comes from we're trying to help our kids avoid pain, like what we think is pain. But my husband was actually really instrumental in helping me understand this. He's 4 years older than me, so he's 4 years older, wiser. But Brian was like, just remember, Renee, you and I got married when you were 18 and he was 22. Like we got married 3 days after I graduated high school. That's horrifying. I would literally die if my kids did that. But we made so many mistakes and yet here we are and we're happy and we lived and we made it. And he was like, they will make it too. And so for me, that really helped me to let go and like, I just support them. So that was the second thing. The third thing, I would say the third thing that I've learned that's been really beneficial, and this is probably like, I think learning something and actually implementing it is two different things. You know what I mean? Like you learn something, like you know something, but are you able to actually implement it? And it's something that's pretty new.
And as they say, if you don't implement it, you didn't learn it.
Right,
You
right.
have some knowledge that you're going to forget eventually.
I would say that would be stop expecting me from other people.
What do you mean?
So, like, there for a while, like, if a friend wouldn't call, or why do I always have to be the first person to pick up the phone? Or why would someone do that? Like, I would never do them that way. Like, I've been nothing but good to this person. And they turn around and they do this and they talk shit about me and they're supposed to be my friend. And, And then taking that super personally and letting it really upset me and trying to rectify and control the situations. I think that's something that I've learned this year. Like, just let people be and stop trying to control everything. Stop trying to expect because I've been a certain way to someone that they're going to return the same favor. Like, they're just doing them and it's not personal. Like, most of the times it's not personal. It's just that person being themselves and figuring life out the same way that I have and just letting it be.
That is huge.
Yeah.
That's a huge shift in your life and also in your health,
Yes.
physical and mental. I remember that's what I had to learn to do in order for me to heal from rheumatoid arthritis. Because I got diagnosed 3 years ago and I was like, what's going on? I wasn't supposed to like have an illness at 43. What is this?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it was all caused by stress, and it's the stress of all the emotions that we carry, such as what you're saying, like the
Yeah.
expectation of others when we don't receive what we're giving, then it turns into resentment, and then like literally feeling when I surrender all this resentment, and it's like my body was able to relax. There was a shift, and then the pain went away.
Yeah.
So congratulations for that amazing decision you made. You saved yourself a lot of years of pain.
Lord, I hope so. I mean, like I said, I'm still like, I still have to keep myself in check, you know, and especially with people closest to me. Like, I think that's still going to be kind of hard because you feel like, oh, they know me. Like, but again, I just try to remember, like, I don't see things the things that I say or do to someone else. I don't see how they take that. I don't know how they take that. I just assume that they take it fine. But you never know. So I'm working on it still. But I would say I've definitely learned that through and through this year.
That's huge. It's not as simple as it sounds. Like, oh yeah, just to stop expecting like whatever. It's freaking hard.
It is hard
it's
because you, like I said,
embedded in you.
yeah, you can know it all day long. Like, and even so throughout the year, I'd be like, Renee, stop. Like, you know, you can't control this person. You can't control the situation. Like, why are you getting so upset? Even the need to, like, if somebody was upset with me, the need to go to them and try to talk it out and try to like get peace for the situation. Like, just let it go. Like, if that person wants to come to me, they will. If they don't, it's fine. They don't like me. They're upset with me, whatever. Like, I can't control it. I'm done trying to control.
Congratulations. I
Yes.
love that. And I love using that for all of us as a reminder that that's what we need to do, because we are seriously causing unnecessary stress to our life just by trying to control and having all these expectations.
Isn't that I think that's the greatest thing about getting older. Like, I know there's so many things that you don't, you know, that you get older, you get the wrinkles, you get the tired, you get the aches, the pains or whatever. But the peace that just comes when you get older, you're like, oh my God, like I stressed myself out so bad for what? But you know, that's the price of age. Like, the youth has a price and the age has a price. I am very content and happy with getting
And
older.
I wouldn't trade it. I
No.
prefer getting older and wiser. This feels amazing.
Amen. Amen. That's so true. That's so true.
Renee, thank you so much. I
Thank you
love
for
this
having me.
catching up with you. We hadn't spoken in so many years.
I know.
So I hope that we reinitiate our friendship and we stay in touch more often. And the next time you come to the podcast, maybe you can give us more expertise advice, because I know you have turned into this super badass woman with all the knowledge. So we can learn so much from you. So thank you so much for being here. And I hope I see you soon again.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. And thank you for always being such a wealth of knowledge yourself. You're definitely an inspiration. And you have definitely planted seeds way back with Happy Beyond Fit that I really like. They really were life-changing for me to heal a lot of trauma. And I've passed that on to family members. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it, because sometimes you just don't think that the impact could have been that deep.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I receive.
Good.
Thank you.
Receive.
Thank you, Renee, for being so unique, for being so outspoken, for not being afraid of letting others know your thoughts and your opinions, for being a great example for all of us to use our voice as well. Thank you for this beautiful time that you just gave me to have this catching up conversation with me. And thank you for allowing me to use it as one of the episodes for my podcast.